Mark, when Ohio State is here, that raises the level quite a bit. I know of intensity. The crowd is really into it, knowing that these games have meant a lot in the last few years. Do you guys feel that too on the bench, in the locker room, that there's a little bit more in these games?
Yeah, I mean, over the last bunch of years, it's turned into a great rivalry, whether we're playing down there or here at Madison or, our final face-off, quarterfinal games, championship games. They've really had consistency over that period of time, and it provides an opportunity for us to, after the weekend's over, when you have heavy competition and play against the good players and a good team, you grow from those experiences. And I think similar to what they'll do when the weekend's over, they'll grow. Obviously, both teams are missing some pieces to the puzzle, but, that doesn't deviate from what the games are going to be like Saturday and Sunday. They'll be high intensity, very competitive. So if I'm a fan, like the players, like the coaches on both sides of the ice, you're excited for it because, we do play all these games, but there's games within your schedule that just create a little bit more excitement for everybody involved with it. Even the referees, I'm sure they get excited, because it's just like they're going to, be able to call a game against two really good opponents, and the competitive level will be really high. The fans will be engaged, so it just creates an atmosphere where over the long winter and the time you're together, those are special days and nights.
With obviously a handful of your players not here, Vivian, obviously she scored a couple goals, but she's been a player that obviously you've counted on for a while. Just one, with in your current situation where you're a little shorthanded, are you putting more on her plate? And then can you also kind of speak to just kind of, her, what she's kind of done for you these last, 3+ years?
Yeah, I mean, I when I saw her Monday, I reiterated to her that, generally over her 4 years, some of her better games have been up in Minneapolis. And so whether it was a regular season game, whether it was a playoff game, a quarterfinal game, a championship game, for whatever reason, I mean, she's from the area. She doesn't live too far from Ritter, but it just seems that her game elevates when she takes the ice up in Ritter. So I was excited to see her score, the couple goals she did Saturday. And, she's a quiet leader. And so, in her game, you might not notice a lot of things from an offensive standpoint, but as coaches look at films and you do ratings and you evaluate different players on your squad, a lot of the little things that you need from a defenseman, she's able to do. And for her to get a couple goals up in Minneapolis Saturday not only helped us win the game, but obviously instilled some more confidence in her. And as we move forward in the next 6 games, we're going to need more of that.
Do you know whether Hannah is going to be available this week, or is that a longer-term issue?
That we don't know. She was going to try and skate today after practice. And again, you'll see how that goes and see what it looks like tomorrow. If she's comfortable in what she does today, then you up ramp it a little bit tomorrow and see what it looks like. But it's one of those injuries we talked about earlier. She'll be back soon. And then you say, oh, there's that word soon again. What's that mean? So, yeah, you're dealt the hands and the cards you get, and you try to make the most of it and work with them. And I was very impressed with our outing Saturday. I thought our energy level was good. The kids had a smile on the face, and we played well enough to win Friday, but we came up a little short. We had a good opportunity, and so the whole key was, after the game Friday, it's later at night. It was our first evening game of the second semester, and so. Can you recover, knowing that 2 o'clock comes pretty quick, and before you know it, you're up for breakfast, you're at the rink, you're warming up, and you're getting ready for a game. So did a lot of good things in Saturday's game that instilled hopefully a bunch of confidence as we prepare for, this weekend's games too.
Coach, we've seen you guys adjust with losing players, but I just want to speak on Leila a little bit. Being able to coach her and her being the first Black woman to make Team USA, what does that mean to you to have been a part of her hockey journey in this way?
Well, the small part we've been, whether it's Jackie, Dan, myself, or, the people that are within our group that have helped her, you're proud. And so, when she takes the ice in a couple days for the first game over in Milano, there'll be a sense of pride within our locker room for the players that have played with her, that helped her, along her journey. But all the credit, really goes to her. And so she's created a space not only on the ice, but equally as important off the ice that, she's having an impact on the game. For some of the comments in your question, there'll be a lot of people, that are young female girls, whether they're black or white or whatever, and they see her do something for the first time, it just might click something within her family or within that individual that, she might want to try hockey or she might want to try another sport and become really good at it and get to a high level and reflect back on, their individual careers and say, yeah, I got started because I saw this Leila Edwards playing the Olympics in 2026, and that inspired me to do something. And so, we're proud of her. Proud of her family. Her sister played here for 4 years. They won a national championship together. And as I've always told her, especially, the early part of her career when we had her, hers is how good she wants to be. Her ceiling is really high. It's whatever she wants it to be. And, she's taken it to another level. They're asking her to play a different position the last couple of years with the national team. She's excelled at that. She's very talented. She's gifted. But, what people see on the ice is certainly something that's special and rare. But what you see off the ice and once you get to know her is way more impressive to me.
Coach, with the current team, each time this season that you guys have lost or lost in a shootout, you've followed it up with a resounding victory the next time out. Well, what is it about this team that has made those very few moments of adversity that you guys be able to respond the following day?
Yeah, I think as we start our journey, in the early fall, the big thing we talk about as a staff and try to get the players to understand, can we be consistent? From day to day, practice to practice. It's a long season. We're together for a long time. We do a bunch of traveling together. And can we, be consistent in our practice habits? So on those days that, it's cold outside, it's 20 below, and I'm coming to the rink, do I feel like practicing? Or, I've blocked a few shots on Saturday's game. My body's a little sore. Do I feel like practicing on Monday? And then, can you take those habits you learn in practice and put them into a game? And then take game by game and weekend by weekend. And over the course of time, can I become better at what I'm trying to do to help the team win? And if you can get those kids in that space and just keep them, in that sort of that cocoon of one day at a time and really trying to become a little bit better every day. And you do have some bumps along the road, which every team's going to have, whether it's due to injuries or whether it's a game that, you don't play well. Wise people learn from their experiences. And so, some of the things that you take away from Friday's game up in Minneapolis, there are a lot of positive things that happened. We had opportunities. We had a breakaway in overtime. And so, it wasn't that we played poorly. It's just that, okay, if we want to be successful Saturday, there's some things that we have to do maybe just a little bit better. And we came out and did that Saturday. And so, when you lose a game, and again, depending on how you lose a game, some are really gut-wrenching and hard because, you have victory in the grasp, and the next thing you know, it's taken away from you. Other nights and other games, maybe you don't play really well, and then you try to figure out, well, why didn't we play well? So it's just this process that you stay together, try to keep a real positive attitude, and knowing that it's a long season, and a game like Friday that we could have won easily, but it was taken away from us. You learn from that. You move into Saturday and come to the rink. Maybe with a little bit more determination and do those things. And if you can do that over, the 34-game schedule, get involved in playoffs, your chances of having a successful season are going to increase. You don't want to get into this, you get really high and excited, and then all of a sudden you get really low and depressed, and you go back because that's tough to sustain. So if I can find that middle ground, whether things are going really well or maybe I'm having a bad day or a bad weekend, and I can stay in that balance spot, generally things tend to work out. Puck starts bouncing for you on some nights that maybe other nights it didn't bounce for you. So all about putting the puzzle together. We're missing a bunch of pieces, so we got these pieces, and we looked pretty good this past weekend. And now, can we continue those habits and continue the things that we need to do with the group that we have for Saturday and Sunday's game?
Coach, has any of your players commented to you about the Netflix documentary that came out, and maybe they didn't know such in-depth history of that game or that time of your life?
Most of the group I have not heard much about it, probably because I don't really speak about it. Although my phone and different communications with me has been blowing up the last several days. When I got to the rink on Friday afternoon for our game, there's a lot of dead time for coaches before we drop the puck. So you walk around, you run into people, and all of a sudden people had watched it Friday because it came out Friday, and they were watching it Friday afternoon, and the response that I was getting was very positive, which is encouraging because you never know what it's going to end up in, what the product's going to be like. And then same thing with my phone over the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday yesterday, getting a lot of different emails from people that had a chance to watch it, and it's been very positive. So that's encouraging for me to get an opportunity to revisit the story and then have footage that a lot of people hadn't seen. And so they put all that together, and very professional and very exciting. It's like fine wine, it doesn't get old. And we keep winning, so that's really positive.
Cassie had that breakaway on Friday. She was in a box a couple of times. There's a couple of ways she could have gone from there in the Saturday's game, and she ends up with a hat trick. What's that mentality like, or what's that in her that let her just kind of flush it, reset, and be as good as that line was with that line on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, if you watched the game Friday as you did, I mean, they played good Friday too. I mean, they were on the ice most of the time. They were in the offensive zone or making good plays, and Cassie probably could have had at least 3 goals Friday's game, and the puck didn't go in. And so as a player, you have an opportunity to win a game in overtime, and it doesn't happen. And then they come back in a short period of time and they take it away from you. I mean, you're disappointed. In the sense you've let the team down is your feelings. I mean, I remember my second game, my first game against Michigan here, my freshman year, I missed a penalty shot. We ended up losing 7-6. And so your feeling is I let the team down, and what can I do the next night to help our team win? And, that line continued to play well. And, she scored a couple great goals. Her line mates helped her out. And then for her to get a hat trick just indicates that, the outcome on Friday wasn't acceptable for her. And she says, whatever I can do Saturday to help that outcome look a little bit different, I'm going to do, and she was able to do that.
One other Vivian question. She gets a lot of blocks for this team. I guess I'm wondering, is that a skill thing? Is that a toughness thing? I mean, because obviously it's not happening by accident. What's your take on when players, and in her case in particular, she's able to kind of be that one maybe step between the goal and the puck?
It's a combination of, the couple of things you mentioned. I mean, the willingness to do it, one, and then the competitiveness to execute it. Because a lot of times when, somebody's going to shoot a puck at you, your natural reflex is to shy away from it. I don't want to get hit with that puck because, if it hits me in a certain spot, it's not going to feel very good. So, between her and a couple other players on her team, you see some consistencies with that. And so all of a sudden, if they're looking to get a scoring opportunity and Eden's in a position to block a shot, she's going to try and do it. Whatever, pain I endure, I'm going to try to do it to help the team win. And so if you have a defenseman or several defensemen that are willing to do it, that means it's more challenging and difficult for the offensive team and the other team to get pucks to the net. And so it's a stat that, they didn't keep way back then, but now they keep it because it's a big part of the game, because it makes it more difficult to score goals. So if she's willing to do that, which she's done that consistently, yeah, that's being competitive and making sure the other team doesn't get scoring opportunities.
The Ohio State games have always been competitive, intense. What kind of words do you guys use, or do you feel about getting ready for those games, and then when it actually is on the ice, what it's like to see these two teams play?
Yeah, I'd say it's a battle. Every single game you face them, and it's a battle, and you're just going at it, but you prepare for them, and you have a strong week of practice going into it, but yeah.
Vivian, I've never had the pleasure of blocking a puck. So or blocking a shot. Can you speak, what is it like on a pain level, on a 1 to 10 scale, with 10 being the worst? How do you rate the experience?
I think in a game you have the adrenaline in you, so it's not bad at all in a game. In practice, I'd say it's a bit different.
Depends
but
where you get hit.
Yeah,
Not
that
like
too, yeah. So, yeah, I think overall you're just trying to do the small things to try to get the team going from the back end, and hopefully it goes up to the forward end.
Cassie, I know the game didn't end Friday the way you wanted it to. And I mean, you had the breakaway, you were in the box a couple times, you had all those chances. How did you kind of just refocus after that to go into Saturday, knowing that you guys could do what you ended up doing and you personally and your line did on Saturday?
I think that was a tougher game for me the first night. You know, I'm not usually in the penalty box, so that was kind of a change for me. I was like, oh. But I think I kind of just had to forget about it. I had to flush it no matter what. So I think I was able to do that, and my teammates were able to lift me up and just know, like, forget about it, it's fine, and then come out even stronger on Saturday. So I think I was able to do that and just kind of forget about it. So.
Vivian, this can be for you, but you both can answer. Just from a defensive standpoint, you know, when you're shorthanded like you're going to be these next couple of weeks, I guess I'm wondering how your role changes, and how do you each of you, view that?
Yeah, I think it's kind of an opportunity for everyone to step it up a little bit, and I think we can just grow together as a team and become a deeper team and just take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. It opens up a lot of opportunities for other girls, and everyone has a role when those players are here, but then now all those roles have shifted, and I think looking back at this past weekend, everyone did their role, played their part. So I think that was just how we were able to be so successful, is everyone bought into what we were trying to do that weekend and just what we're going to continue to do. And I think we have that depth in our line chart to be successful moving forward.
Cassie, the games you guys played against Ohio State in December there, what do you feel like went really well for you guys that maybe you can try and duplicate this weekend, knowing that there's a lot different, obviously, with the lineups on both sides, but specifically with your guys' group?
Yeah, I mean, looking back at that weekend, like, everything was going our way, just from getting the bounces and being able to put those away. But this weekend, I think we know, like, we have to do those little things, like getting the puck deep, forechecking hard, and just being, like, a gritty team this next weekend, just without all these girls. And like I said before, filling that role and being gritty, going in the corner, just doing the little things right.
The way Raya played both games really last weekend, but especially on Saturday, how much confidence does that give the rest of the group in knowing that, you haven't seen her necessarily in that atmosphere before in a big game like that, but she obviously came through in those situations for you guys?
Yeah, I think kind of like what we talked about, just everyone's getting a new opportunity, and she did take advantage of her opportunity, and we've seen what she can do all the time in practice, but it was an opportunity for her to show other people, and I think she kind of rose to the occasion, and I think that gives us some confidence going into Ohio too, and I think she should be on a strong note.